Hello, hello. How are you, Brooks?
Dude, I was just telling Baron off air, like I just ran 8 miles, and we scheduled this podcast to happen, at a time, right? So I knew this time was gonna happen. And I was like, how do I kill the time? Because I just didn't want to sit around. So I was like, I'm gonna run. So I ran 8 miles. So that's why I look like absolute trash right now. But like we're good, I just got how to sit down for a little bit.
Yeah, how was your draft weekend?
It was fun. I went to the Hawks game three, which you saw that on my story. Literally, I think the best game I've ever went to, like sporting wise, ever in terms of excitement. I
Okay.
think what else comes close to it, if I'm just trying to be like unbiased, even though my team lost, was the Ole Miss Georgia game that like this past year. But I've been to some crazy games. Oh, and Clemson, Louisville, Lamar versus Deshaun. Those might be my three. I got
Okay.
to think more about it, but those might be my three.
Okay. That's good. That's good. Yeah, it was a busy weekend in the sports world. I watched my first full hockey game this weekend.
Mm,
There you go. Didn't win, but it's okay. 3-1. We still got some more shots. But yeah,
it was 3-0.
it
Just need to say that.
was.
It was
It
3-0.
was 3-0.
Flyers and Penguins. So
Yeah, but we got a couple more chances to close it out. Two chances in Pittsburgh, one more in
it was
Philadelphia.
also, I think, Pittsburgh's first playoff win in any sport in about like 9 years or like 8 years or something crazy like
Yeah,
that.
that makes sense.
It was like 13 or 1400 days.
Yeah, it's pretty. The city's not feeling great in sports, but they had the draft. It was a lot of fun. They set a record. I think Goodell was saying 300,000 fans on day one, something like that, the most
Oh, it was like
ever.
820 like all around or something. It was
Yeah.
crazy. Yeah.
So yeah, we have a lot to talk about in terms of the draft. So without further ado, let's jump right into it.
Welcome to the greatest podcast on earth. Nothing agreed. We have a great show for you tonight, so stay tuned and buckle up.
Yo, welcome back to another episode of Nothing Agreed. Back with the boys today, Baron. Baron, this is actually probably my favorite time in the NFL schedule that is not the actual season, like regular season. And
Hmm.
that is the NFL draft. We just wrapped it up. We did our mock beforehand, which, whoo, and then now we have our first round, which was, I gotta say, in terms of a draft, probably one of the most exciting first rounds I've ever seen. What do you think about it?
Yeah, definitely in terms of exciting. Again, my team didn't pick for a little later, so normally I'm not super invested until
Oh, okay, okay.
we'll get or like I'm just
Your
not
team
like
didn't pick till later,
well
huh?
obviously yours didn't have a first round pick, so fuck you. But that's kind of my point is if people tune in for the draft and they're really only like, oh, I'm just here to see what my team's got, what my team's got going on. I think they would have been pleasantly surprised because yeah, if you were paying attention to mock drafts, if you were paying attention to the prospects and people talk about these prospects and where they're gonna go, a lot happened that no one really thought would happen. Or as Twitter would see all these people that have 15 followers come out and be, oh, I predicted it from the start. So yeah,
Yeah,
people
you're
people
so
have some
funny.
ideas, but yeah, a lot happened that most people did not see coming, and because of that, lucky you guys, we figure we're doing 2 episodes to cover the draft, right?
Ooh,
See,
two.
little round of applause there. Today we're just gonna be talking about the first round because it was pretty crazy. I'm not gonna lie. Like Brooks said, we had our mock draft on our previous episode where Brooks,
Mhm.
our wonderful deep dive analysis, spent a lot of his time, a very busy time, I would imagine as well, cooking up
Yeah,
a mock draft, and yeah, brought that forward for the people. And Brooks, it was pretty wrong, wasn't it?
Baron. I first of all, I never asked you, so just maybe a 5-second answer. How are you doing? I forgot
I'm
to ask
good.
you how you're doing.
I'm good.
There we go.
Just getting ready
Um,
for finals and all that.
yeah, I forgot to ask. That's always my first question, but I think I just broke my tradition. So, Baron,
It's all
let's
good.
just say this. Let's say this. I spent time watching film. I spent time reading analysis. I did look at other mocks, um, and I read like even defensive and offensive statistics, like where teams are lacking, what they need. And my well, first of all, My mock was over by pick 2 because I had one or the other in David Bailey and Arvell Reese, and I went David Bailey. And even in my mock when I was reading it, I was like, I wouldn't be surprised to pick David Bailey because he's probably going to be better from the jump. And you were like, I could see David Bailey. But then by pick 3, my God, went off the rails. I mean, it went off the rails, Baron.
So I think the best way to do this is we're just going to go not necessarily maybe pick by pick, but like in increments. Like I think the best way to do this is we're going to spend the first part talking about the top 5, then we'll go into 6 through 10, then the next 5, some stuff like that. Obviously we'll go pick by pick, but just kind of make it seem it's less of an, or there'll be analysis with it, but it's also talking about why we think this pick was made and how it affected the rest of the picks that come after it, because there's a lot of that to be spoken about. So we'll get the freebie off the list. Everyone knew this one was coming. You saw the one guy, I'm sure, who put $1,000 on it and only won 5. But to no one's surprise, Fernando Mendoza went first overall to the Raiders. I don't think that anyone's going to have a problem with that. All right. He's the best quarterback prospect on the board, Heisman winner. Yeah, I mean,
here's my question.
They need a quarterback. I don't think you really messed that pick up.
This is not like a hard question to answer at all, but people are giving like the Mendoza pick like an A+ or an A, but like, I don't know how you can give that pick an A when it's like the obvious pick and it's like, that's what you're going to get. And like, I mean, I'll just give it like a B because like, you're going to take that. That's what you need. Don't know. So yeah. I have no comments about it. I just want to see him play in the NFL. He has a couple of decent options. My biggest thing is I really cannot wait to see how this changes Ashton Jeanty mostly. Just because, Geno Smith wasn't good. When you have a quarterback that's not that good, you can put a little more in the box. So I want to see how maybe this opens up a little bit for Ashton Jeanty.
Yeah. It'll definitely change kind of, I think, how they run their offense, especially probably trying to be a little more run pass dynamic instead of run heavy like they were last year with Geno Smith until it didn't work. But we'll talk about the Raiders a lot more in our full draft recap. We'll give them a full overall draft grade. But I will say it definitely seems like with the rest of their picks, it was more of the thought of Ashton Jeanty in mind than Fernando Mendoza. So we'll see how they address. I think he'll be fine. I think Tom Brady will be in that building with him along that entire learning process. I don't think you can think of a better mentor. So, like you said, I'm excited to see him play. So we'll move on to pick number 2, and this is where things started to get choppy. Obviously, the Jets took David Bailey. I don't think there was too much of a surprise there. Most people thought they were going to go edge rusher, whether it would be Bailey or Reese. Kind of like we were saying, Reese is the more raw talent, a lot higher of a ceiling, more of a project player. So the Jets ultimately decided to go with David Bailey, a more proven player immediately, especially for a team that ranked 31st last year in pass rush. You need someone who can come in and offer an immediate impact and be more of a solidified second overall pick. I like the pick. I don't hate it. I think he'll come in and be an immediate impact like most people predict, and help get that Jets defense back on track.
Yeah, I like the pick as well. They need edge help, and I think the edge help should help the corners a little bit. 0 interceptions, so that should give a little bit of help. We can talk about their picks a little bit later, but I love the David Bailey pick just because they need edge help. He's probably, to me, a top 3 guy in this draft. Yeah. And he's not a quarterback, so you get one of the best in my personal opinion. Of course, that's why you have a top 2 pick. But since you're not picking quarterback, you get a really good player.
Yeah. So again, they'll give them an overall grade later next episode. But for now, I think this is an easy good pick for them. Now, third pick. This is where things get really interesting, and everyone talks about Jeremiah Love being the best prospect in the draft, the best athlete, best player, but again, how valuable is a running back? How much do you want to use a high first round pick on him? Well, the Cardinals thought he was deserving of the 3rd overall pick. Now, this is where it starts to we look at the Cardinals organization, are you making the right pick or are you making the fun pick? Because you have James Conner, right? You don't know how old he is. At this rate, I don't think he'll be on the team by week 1, whether he gets traded or cut. But you just signed Tyler Algier in free agency, kind of in an expectant to be more of a lead back with James Conner to back you up. And then you go out and you get Jeremiah Love, right? And obviously this is a Cardinals team that has a lot of holes. But they decided, kind of like the Raiders last year, there's a generational talent in front of us. Maybe not a position we desperately need, but you don't pass up on generational talent. Now, time will tell if this is a good draft pick. It certainly influenced the rest of the board. We'll get to that in a little bit. But yeah, I mean, what are your thoughts on Jeremiah Love to the Cardinals?
My biggest loser is Tyler Algier, just because he, in his first rookie year, was a 1,000-yard rusher.
Mm-hmm.
Then Bijan comes in. Then he becomes a number 2 back, pretty solid. Then he gets his payday, goes to Arizona, then immediately becomes the 2 or the 3. Like, very unlucky for him. I don't mind the Jeremiah Love pick because, once again, I think he is he is in my top 3 players in this draft. To me, he is he does, like I said in he does all things I want a running back to do well. He blocks well, he catches out of the backfield, and he's an explosive home run hitter and can drive the legs. Like, that's 4. He does all 4 really well, so I don't blame the pick. To me, it's just that you still have James Conner, probably 1 more year in him. Mm-hmm. Algier is going to take more of the lead role, and I love Algier as a running back, particularly in those short down situations. So I'm just kind of questioning how much this really – to me, this is a pick for next year. And what I mean by that is they drafted Carson Beck, who probably has maybe a decent shot at maybe starting at some point this year. But
definitely
to me, they're kind of banking on next year's draft class with a QB. So this is kind of, to me, Las Vegas Raiders-esque, drafting Ashton Genty and then going after your QB next year. So we're going to see how this goes. I can't give this hate or a love. I like it more than I don't like it. That's what I'll say. I like it more. But
okay.
To me, I don't know. To me, I really don't know. I'm just concerned a little bit with the offseason moves. I would have taken Reese, of course, but something else went in. Jeremiah Love, who's a great player, goes to Arizona. That's all. I mean, that's what I have to say about it.
Yeah, I'm going to be on the other side of this, I think. And again, time will tell how good any of these picks are, right? Because none of these guys have played a snap of professional football. But when you have potentially this many generational defensive players at your disposal, your opportunity to choose from, and I'm not saying you take a quarterback at number 3 when you need a quarterback, because unless Fernando Mendoza, for whatever reason, fell into your lap at 3, you don't take a quarterback. But again, like you said, you have James Conner there for at least 1 more year. You just signed Tyler Algier to starting running back money. I don't see a world where you really need Jeremiah Love. And again, I'm not saying any individual pick you get with 3rd overall is going to completely change your franchise around, but yeah, I mean, I would have liked to see an Arvell Reese go there. I would have liked to see maybe even a Sonny Styles. If you wanted to go offensive line to even help your running backs out, help your quarterback out that you're going to go get next year. And it sounds bad because I love running backs, but again, they're just not a position of such high value. It's kind of been proven time and time again that you can get by if you have a good offensive line and a mediocre running back. If you have a good offensive line, then you can add a generational running back or a really good running back to it, and then it makes it dynamic. But I don't think it's really been proven that when you go out and get the running back and then build the line, I think you need to build the line and then get the running back. But again, time will tell how this pick turns out for the Cardinals. Yeah, we'll see. Moving on to pick number 4, and this is where things start to get really, really interesting, because I think most people expected Jeremiah Love to go here if he was still available.
Yep.
I think even the Tennessee Titans expected him to still be available.
Yep.
And to me, I'm not going to say this is a scramble pick, but it definitely doesn't look like it was thought about very long, and that's Carnell Tate to the Titans at 4. And I'm not saying Carnell Tate is a bad player, but
I'm
I
listening.
just I don't know. I think like this is one of those situations where super young team, a lot of positional needs. There's a lot better talent on the board. I think I would have liked to see Tennessee fill those needs with better talent at that pick. Again, I also think if they're interested in Carnell Tate, that's also an avenue you could explore a trade back. I think he would have been there probably at 9 or 10 if you thought that you could maybe get a team that wanted to trade up to get a player. I don't know. I just don't love this pick at 4.
Wow. I'm going to disagree with you.
Okay.
I like this pick. Um, there's a couple reasons why I like this pick. Carnell Tate was still under the Brian Hartline era of guys at Ohio State, which he has produced many great receivers at Ohio State.
Mm-hmm.
He is also, my concern was that he was a wide receiver too, also next to maybe the generational guy of our time and wide receivers, which makes him that. But he's good size at 6'2". He's just a little bit shy of 200 pounds. So has good hands as well, was very clean and efficient catching the football. And you give a guy like Cam Ward an actual one, right? I mean, you look at his receivers. Calvin Ridley's under contract for 1 more year. They just brought in Wan'Dale Robinson, but Wan'Dale Robinson is not a wide receiver 1. He's a 2 or a 3 kind of guy in a decent team. They do have Westbrook from his rookie year, I'm trying to remember the rookie from last year who blew up was the returner. But he was decent, but still they needed a wide receiver 1. So I wouldn't say this is a scramble of a pick. I would say this is definitely not their numero uno, but I wouldn't say this is a scramble. I like Carnell Tate as a player, and I think you got to do kind of the Joe Burrow strat. You got to give him a weapon to throw to. So give him Carnell Tate. I wouldn't have minded to trade back, but who would have traded up is the real question.
That's also
draft.
true.
Yeah.
That could have been the reason why, but I don't know. Maybe the Chiefs certainly. We'll talk about them here in a second, but yeah, the player and the fit. I'm not questioning that more. It's more of the position where it's drafted. And again, I think you could have definitely, even if you wanted to trade up early into the late first round, there was guys that went like Omar Cooper, Casey Concepcion. I think there were still opportunities to get guys that maybe not solidified wide receiver 1s, but definitely have that upside for your young quarterback, and you could have went and got a better talent here at 4. I just think in the grand scheme of things, when you're trying to build the best overall roster, I think there's better directions they could have gone here.
I will say this, bold prediction. I think in 2 to 3 years, we're going to say Cam Ward and Carnell Tate is one of the best QB wide receiver duos in the league.
All right. We'll wait and see. But we'll round out this first segment of our draft coverage with the 5th overall pick, and that is Arvell Reese to the New York City Giants. And yeah, I mean, this is a good pick. Obviously, a talent that should not have fallen out of the top 3, falls into the top 5. The Giants kind of get a steal here, in my opinion. As an Eagles fan, I'm not happy about this, but yeah, I mean, they made the right pick. You can't be mad at it. So
Can I ask you as an Eagles fan?
Mm-hmm.
Do you rate Abdul Carter?
Do I like him?
Do you rate him? Like, do you think he's a good football player?
I think he's fine.
You think are you scared to go up against an Abdul Carter?
Maybe in 2 years.
What about Brian Burns?
Yes, I don't like Brian Burns.
What about Kayvon Thibodeau?
Yeah, he's nothing. He's not a factor.
He's not that good?
I don't think so, no.
Okay. Well, you just added a 4th kind of edge rusher. He's a little bit more of an off-ball too, but this is one where you just took the guy that slipped a little bit, was supposed to be number 2. You kind of, in my opinion, maybe do get the best player in the draft. But now this starts asking questions, right?
I think Brian Burns is traded by the deadline, but
I think Kayvon Thibodeau is traded before week 1.
Oh.
Because Kayvon Thibodeau is the one that's receiving these phone calls, you know? I've
also heard
talks about Thibodeau.
I've also heard talks if they might try and just move him to inside and see how he plays from there, especially with the departure of Dexter Lawrence. But yeah, I think if Abdul Carter has a good start to this season, though, I think Brian Burns gets traded by the deadline.
I think it's going to be Thibodeau because his rookie contract is running up, which means he's
That's also
due for
true.
payday.
But I think they're gonna at least try and move him inside first. I've seen some
Maybe
reports about that. But
the Saints almost traded for Thibodeau, but unfortunately, it was just a little too high for their asking price.
yeah.
So
Yeah. So yeah, edge rusher is a premium position these days. But that's also like Arvell Reese doesn't have to come from the line. Like he can play in the backfield almost. Like he could. I mean, they could even mold him to be an off ball if they really wanted to. But yeah. Again, I think you see a player who fell to a position they never should have fallen to. You take that player and you figure it out from there. But yeah, I think that's the good pick at 5, and yeah, that's the top 5. For the most part, I don't think there's anything too crazy outside of the Jeremiah Love pick. Obviously, I think that heavily influenced the Carnell Tate pick as well. But yeah, we'll move on to the next 5 unless you have.
that also
anything to add.
influenced the Arvell Reese pick.
Oh yeah,
you know?
and, yeah, they all influence each other. But we'll move on to the next 5, starting with pick 6, and this is when things start to be like, okay, what is happening? Because, and a surprise, not really to Brooks, but the Browns decided that they wanted to trade back from the pick 6, and you thought that the Cowboys would be moving up,
would be aggressive.
Take their generational player, but that was not the case. It was in fact the Kansas City Chiefs who saw the board, saw a player that they were like, that's our guy. We need to go and get him at 6. There's no reason he should still be available at 6. So we're going to go in and swoop him up before anyone else even gets to him. And that player was Mansour Delane. I'm going to let you talk about that one first.
I like the pick of the player. I don't like where they got it.
So basically,
sorry. To me, I'll make this quick. Look at 7, 8. Look at 6, 7, 8. Right. Browns at 6. They did exactly what they needed to, which we'll talk about. 7 was no corner was involved. In 8, there was a chance. There was a chance of a corner getting involved, but I think it was going to be receiver from the Saints, which would have left Mansour Delane at 9. Chiefs didn't take any risks, but I just think he would have been there at 9. I don't think the trade
he
was
almost
necessary.
certainly would have been there at 9.
Yeah.
Again, I don't think I could honestly see the Commander if the Browns stuck at 6 and took Sonny Styles. I could see the Commanders maybe going that route, so maybe that's where they were concerned about. But yeah, again, I just feel like you traded up, and I don't really remember what they gave up. I don't think it was anything super crazy, but yeah, it's just I don't know. You got your guy. We'll see if it turns out. But yeah, I was shocked by the trade up to pick him as well. But
what are we doing?
Yeah, we'll move up. Number 7, Sonny Styles to the Commanders. I almost said the Ohio State Commanders. But yeah, that's a pretty good pick. I mean, this guy had a freak combine performance, the best off-ball linebacker in the draft, a top 10 talent by most analysts. Commanders are a team full of needs, probably in every single position other than quarterback. So you go ahead and get your defensive captain for the future in Sonny Styles. Ideally will be the green dot wearer. And yeah, you've got a cornerstone to rebuild this aging defense. Don't hate that at all. Good pick. Yeah, all right.
That's how I feel. I mean, I think this is like, can I say safest pick?
Yeah, no, that's easily.
Can I say that? I think this is a good pick. I think this is a really good pick.
Yeah, it is.
I like Sonny. I rate Sonny Styles. I think you got him at a perfect time in the draft. They wanted him from the get-go. I mean, he talked about it like they were the only ones really pushing for him. Like they were sending the house. Like this was at CFP 26. Yeah, and this was a great pick, and especially in a division that is going to have Jackson Dart running around, Jalen Hurts running around, Saquon Barkley dancing around, making some moves, Cam Scatabo running around, like I like this pick over the middle. I like this pick, Sonny Styles.
Especially with CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens running over the middle as well. But, yeah, easy pick, safe pick, good one. Now, number 8, this was devastating to me as a fan. Jordan Tyson was a guy I was really hoping would fall. because I think there was real interest in the Eagles aggressively trading up into the teens for him, if that were the case. But like you said, Saints needed a receiver. They were eyeing Carnell Tate. I think most people figured that he would be there for the Saints to take. He was not, so they went with the other player. And that's a good pick. If he stays healthy, I think this is the best pass catcher in the draft. I think everyone's seen his pro day. His athletic ability is insane at 6'4", or 6'2", sorry. I'm thinking of someone else. But, yeah, he is one of those, because you and I were talking about how the NFL's starting to move away from those big prototype X-built like receivers where
Yeah.
you're like a one-on-one, like big catch, red zone threat. Jordan Tyson's one of those. Still, I think he's a big guy, very big catch radius, good hands, very quick. It's a good pick for the Saints if he stays healthy. Very good pick, I think. And I think it was very shocking as well because I think, at least in my mind, when Carnell Tate went off the board at 4, to me, I thought, okay, I think teams maybe think Jordan Tyson's injury concern is a lot bigger than what's been reported. And because I think, at least I thought he would be the first receiver off the board if teams didn't think that the injury were big enough concerns.
Do you know what his injuries were?
I know one of them was something in his foot.
Torn ACL.
Yeah.
Broken collarbone, hamstring off the bone. I mean,
yeah, that's not good.
He's getting a little bit beat up. And again, I'm going to stay a little unbiased. I think Jordan Tyson should have went a little bit later, actually, in my mock. I had him going a little bit later. But I also had Carnell Tate going to the Saints, right? So everything kind of has to play out where it goes.
Yeah.
I think Jordan Tyson's underrated in his route running game. His route tree is really good. And when you have a guy like Chris Olave on the other side, playing man defense against these two guys is putting you in literal hell. So if Tyler Shuck can't read his own defense, then it's going to be a long season for the Saints. If he can, it's going to be a fun season for the Saints. So I think this is an interesting pick. I think it's a good pick. Mm-hmm. I was reading up on him a little bit more. ESPN has his – this is where you can never kind of do the comps, but ESPN has his pro comp as George Pickens. And my thought was, would I waste a first-round pick, number 8, on George Pickens? And I still go back and forth with that one, because there's Steelers George Pickens, and then there's last year Cowboys George Pickens. So we'll see what version the Saints get.
Yeah. We'll move on to pick number 9 and 10. These are kind of in tandem, but we have the 2 offensive tackles going off the board at 9 and 10. Spencer Fano to the Browns and Francis, how do you say it, Maionga?
Yeah.
To the Giants. I would give both of these A+. 2 best tackles in the draft. If you ask me personally, I think Maionga might have been a little bit better, but I don't think you're getting that much of a difference with Fano. These are both A+ picks. And right where I think most people kind of expected them to go. I think maybe some people thought Maionga would go a little sooner, but Giants get a good one, as do the Browns. Both teams need to beef up their offensive lines for their rookie backfields. Good picks. I like them.
Yeah. I mean, quickly, I'll go over it quickly as well. Fano can play left, right, and even some people maybe you can say go inside. So if the Browns need offensive line, shoot. I mean, you can put him anywhere you want. And then I had Francis Mauga going to the Giants as my first offensive tackle off the board, just because I had the Browns going down. And if I'm not mistaken, I think I had Spencer Fano going to the Browns at 12. To me, 2 solid picks. I know a lot of people, and we'll get to what the next pick is, a lot of people are clowning the Giants for picking Mauga, but I think it's kind of the pick they needed to have. I mean, Jackson Dart is your freaking quarterback. You need to protect him. Look how many hits he had last year.
And this is also the same team that had an offensive lineman commit 4 penalties in 4 straight plays. So
yeah,
and I'm not talking about the offensive line as a whole. One player had 4, it was 3 holding calls within an unsportsmanlike conduct, all within 4 plays.
Yeah, I like this pick.
You need to beef up that line. Obviously, you didn't get a generational defensive player, but you think you did on your earlier pick. So
this is why, though. This is why I'm not the greatest fan of the Arvell Reese pick, though, because of who's at pick 11, right? Because I think Arvell Reese is picking best available. And then maybe I'm going to say this, depending on what they get in a trade for who they trade is how I'm going to grade this Arvell Reese pick a little bit, because you let a guy next pick fall, even though he was on your board. So I know it shook up a little bit the draft, but I think you got to see what you get out of a trade for one of your edge rushers.
Yeah. We'll just go ahead and move on to the next 5. Obviously with Caleb Downs going 11 to the Cowboys, I'm not happy about it either. But at the same time, like, I mean, safety is important, but there's definitely more important needs to fill on the defensive side of the ball, right? And this is where I don't really fault the Giants, because, yes, if Caleb Downs could turn into this generational box safety player, more like the next Nick Amori, or whatever you say that dude's name, and Kyle Hamilton, all those guys. But if Arvell Reese develops into the way that you think he is, that most people think he will, then that is going to be so much better player down the line. And like you said, we'll see if they decide to trade Kayvon Thibodeaux, if they want to trade Brian Burns, depending how their star tandem of Carter and Reese start the season. We'll see. But obviously, yeah, a guy like Caleb Downs falling to 11, I don't think a lot of people really saw happening. I think most people had him going in the top 10 just based on his defensive and athletic ability. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of how we say it. That's a theme that we'll see later in this draft. But like, safety is just not a position that's very valued for high draft picks. There's a lot more positional needs to fill, and but yes,
but I'll take the but here.
Yeah, go for it.
Because resume. Because Caleb Downs to me is probably. David Bailey, we talked about this. I think Caleb Downs is actually the most NFL-ready player in this draft. I think he is. I genuinely, when I saw him play as a freshman at Alabama, he was insane. Ohio State, even better. I mean, he was a great player. And I know safety isn't a premium position, but you're talking about a guy that can bounce around the field a little bit. Great in coverage, and the Cowboys were getting home run hit on deep balls last year. I mean, Baron, I know we're going to flash back about 7 months right now, but remember week 2 against the Giants when Russell Wilson had one of the best games of his career because he was just lobbing footballs down the damn field. I mean, they needed, and that was just one game. I'm talking about this entire year. I love this pick from the Cowboys. I also rate them trading up because although the Dolphins trade back one spot, they could have selected him at 11, right? They could have selected him at 11. So I like the trade up. I know it's a little biased because I had them trading up, but I still like them just being secured in their trade up, going one spot, selecting to me a guy that should not have fallen out of the top 10 in this draft.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's definitely them benefiting from where they stood, just letting the board play out. But yeah, we'll see how impactful it can be. Obviously, if it's a traditional just back free safety role, you might not see him a lot. But if he gets utilized a lot and run packages and all that good stuff, then yeah, it'll be very helpful for the Cowboys. But yeah, we'll move on to pick number 12. And this one to me was also shocking. I don't know if it was shocking to you in the sense, but I don't know if the Dolphins were planning on taking Caleb Downs and this might have been a scramble, but Caden Proctor goes 12 to the Dolphins, and I mean, there's a lot to be excited about with him. He's a huge person that can move his feet well, has good hands placement. Size is a bit of a concern. How quick can he get off a block? I know there's also talks of him possibly moving to inside lineman if he doesn't want to shed his weight. Like he said, he doesn't really want to. So, yeah, to me, out of all of the first-round tackles, this is the most project, I guess, player that you could have picked. So, yeah, it was really interesting to me seeing him go 12, especially when there's a lot of other guys we'll get to here in a little bit on the board that were available.
A lot of people hate this pick, Baron. A lot of people don't like it.
I mean, I might be one of them. I'm not a fan of it.
I'm not one of them. And I don't say I like the pick, but I'll give the reasoning as to why I don't hate the pick. And that is when you're a team in a year one rebuild, right? And you're a team that is starting to go into rebuild process, take a project player, take a guy that in 2 years could be an insane offensive lineman like Caden Proctor. And if it misses, then you're like, look, we were just starting our rebuild, right? It's not like you're kind of getting out and need an NFL ready player to make that jump. They're sinking. So take a guy that either you're going to sink with and it's not going to hurt too much, or take a guy that's going to boom and you have a franchise cornerstone. So I think they should move a guy like Caden Proctor, who's 6'7" and 355 pounds inside, because, you talk about good feet, but his feet weren't quick.
No,
his feet weren't quick. And so speed rusher guys are going to go crazy on him. And I mean, in the AFC South, or AFC East, my apologies, when you're playing against, a team that has a decent pass rush, you're going to get beat. I don't think the Jets, the Bills, or the Patriots have great pass rushes at all.
David Bailey.
True.
We'll see.
The Bills took TJ Parker.
It's true.
The Patriots, but these are young guys, young guy on young guy. So
yeah.
I don't mind the pick. It's not even close to my favorite, and it's not to me a pick that I like, but it's not a pick where I'm like D+ grade, C-, D grade. No.
I might give it a C-.
This is a C+ to me. This is a C+.
I'm kind of the other sort of point of view. I think if you're a team on year one of your rebuilding, I'd go get a guy who's a lot more solidified in what he can do. Because what if we're 3 years down the line and this project doesn't work out? Now it's taking longer and longer.
But that's why I don't like taking a guy who's NFL ready in a project, because you're kind of just wasting his talent and losing games, right?
Sure.
It's like the NBA to me, right? The NBA is like, you play 82 games. You're going to play young guys. You're going to lose some. You're going to develop, right, and get better. By the time that I take a guy who's NFL ready in my year 3 and we're ready to jump, we're ready to go because you're now NFL ready, So you just don't want to waste an NFL ready guy instead of taking a guy who has more potential. So,
yeah, but you also want your team to seem attractive to other players. If you have a guy who can, and again, we don't know what the Dolphins' future holds, but let's just say hypothetically, right? There's a franchise-changing quarterback who's a free agent next year, and the Dolphins throw their name in the ring to sign him, and they come back and be like, hey, I'm not going to sign with you because your left tackle isn't a solidified position yet. Caden Proctor doesn't look like he's the player that you thought he would be when drafted after the first year. You've got a lot of ways to go. I'm going to go to a situation that's better for me, versus if you took another guy, then again, I'm not saying that the quarterback would go to Miami, but that's not the reason he's not coming. That's my whole point. Or you have a running back who's like, I'm looking at Miami's offensive line. I like how it's orchestrated. If you took a guy like Monroe Freeling, Blake Miller, or the guy Max Inky, however you say it, I'm not even going to attempt that.
Yeah, Nacho.
Thank you. But if you took any of those guys, some more solidified players, that makes the line better, more attractive for free agents to come to. So there's a lot of schools of thought around this. But yeah, this is not a good pick in my opinion. But we'll move on to unlucky number 13. Say hello to everyone's new favorite Nepo baby, Ty Simpson, to the Los Angeles Rams. Now, I mean, yeah, this is a shock. Obviously, I think a lot of people thought they would go receiver here to, like you predicted, to lessen the blow when Devontae Adams eventually steps away, and with Puka Nakua's future being somewhat uncertain due to off-the-field reasons. But, yeah, I mean, they decided to spend their first-round draft pick on Matthew Stafford's replacement. And I think if anyone saw the look on Sean McVay's face and their first-round or after press conference,
yep.
I think that basically sums up what happened. And then if you read into the stories, obviously Ty Simpson's dad is a coach, very good friends with the Rams general manager. In fact, the Rams general manager is the main reason why Ty Simpson was advised to step into the NFL draft. I think, if you don't remember, there was a big story about how the University of Miami was offering him over $5 million to stay in college football one more year and come play for them. He declared for the NFL draft. A lot of people were confused, thinking he would be a day 2 guy and would miss out on how much money does the day two guys start with? But it's definitely not 5 million, but
No, even this pick right here, I think, is like
6 million.
near the same valuation as what he got at the university.
No,
Like,
it's slightly more, but yeah, it's like 6.2 million, something
well,
like that.
he's gonna get. But here's the thing, it's technically gonna be less because since he's going to LA, it's gonna get taxed.
That's
more.
also true.
Ooh.
But obviously, if he was not going to be a first round pick in next year's draft. Because if you
No.
just based on the guys coming out of it so far,
Well, I mean, we thought this
we'll
QB class was going to be insane.
That's
And
also true.
Fernando Mendoza wasn't even near the radar went one. So
That's also true. But yeah, we will. We'll just have to wait and see about that. But
the number one pick consensus last year went in the 7th round this year.
It's true. But he was advised to step into the NFL draft, and now we know why. In fact, the general manager even went so far as to say that we are very strongly considering picking you with the 13th overall pick. Now,
Baron Burns.
Oh boy.
Go ahead. I'll let you finish.
Okay.
Pause.
I was just gonna say, I think why. Obviously, I don't think another team was really going to take Ty Simpson in the first round. Maybe the Cardinals were going to trade up, or the Jets were going to trade up into the late. But even still, like, you could have traded back. There's just why? Obviously, this is a team who I think a lot of people think is going to represent the NFC in the Super Bowl next year. And you have a top 15 pick, a chance to get one last piece to really just put you over the top. And yeah, I mean, you pick a guy who, if all things go according to plan, will never touch the field this season. So it's like, yeah, it's a little confusing. It's a little interesting. And again, I think I think the general manager's fate is tied heavily into Ty Simpson, and his ability to step into the Matthew Stafford void that will eventually be there. But I think the one thing no one's really talking about is Matthew Stafford. I mean, I don't know how old he is, but coming off the season that he just had, and if he wants to, I mean, I'm sure he can negotiate a new contract if he wants to keep playing for years to come. But it looks like the Rams are already kind of pushing him out the door. So what if he's not happy this season? What if he wants an extension? The Rams don't want to give it to him. What if we see a trade request? It's just a lot of things that are in the air, and it's a lot of things that just don't make a lot of sense. But I'll let you take it.
Okay, I'll clear one thing up, and then I'm going to play my game.
Okay.
Matthew Stafford needed convincing to come back to the Rams this year. He was low-key thinking about retiring.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he was thinking about giving it up. So to me, this gives an inside signal that Matthew Stafford is done after the next year's season. Okay. I just think that's what it is. I think that's inside camp knowledge right there. Now I'm going to play a hypothetical for you, Baron.
Perfect.
Baron, in order for this hypothetical to work, I'm not saying innocence, but what I am saying is that James Pierce Jr. comes back and plays for the Atlanta Falcons. Let me ask you this. Would you rather have James Pierce Jr. and Jalen Walker or Kanata Mumfield? He's a wide receiver.
Are we trying to justify how you won the trade last year?
Xavier Watts as well for the Falcons. Yes, I am.
I mean, I don't think you really need to. I mean, the Rams were gifted, again, a golden opportunity, I think. And you have a Super Bowl roster, a roster that most people think is enough to win your entire conference. And you are gifted an opportunity to make – because I'm just looking at some of these names that go after, and we'll get to some more later. But, yeah, it's just you had a lot – and, again, time will tell how these players pan out. That's the fun of all immediate draft reactions. But, yeah, I mean, there just seems like so many better options that could have been taken over Ty Simpson. And, again, I think – if Matthew Stafford retired, again, I think there's so many things you could have done. I feel like you could have gotten a first round pick you could have traded back to like the late like 20s, got a first round pick for next year, and then take a really good quarter. There's just, yeah, it's a lot. And I don't know. I really don't know.
Again, I'm going to say this as well. I'm going to keep going. How the Atlanta Falcons and the Los Angeles Rams are intertwined right here. Okay? Just hear me. Okay? Just
I'm
hear
listening.
me out.
I'm listening.
Thank you. James Pierce Jr., Xavier Watts, Jalen Walker, Terrence Ferguson, Kanata Mumfield, Ty Simpson. I would rather have these three over these three. Now let me say this. Let me say this. How it's connected. You know what this pick reminds me of? Baron, this pick reminds me of when I was with you in 2024 and the Atlanta Falcons selected Michael Penix Jr. Right?
I have a picture from that came up the other day.
Was that me in the Eagles jersey?
Yeah. I'm gonna pull it up for our
lovely viewers. This is how much I hated being a Falcons fan. Now, the Rams fan, I don't think you can do that because you actually won a Super Bowl. But
actually won something.
Yeah, exactly. But let me say this, okay?
Yeah.
Aaron, I don't remember the 2025 draft because that's it right there. That also that picture is the background of our iMessages too.
It is, yeah.
Baron, I don't remember 2025 if there was ever an incident of this.
Hold on.
But
I'd really hate to cut you off, but I just pulled up ESPN back up because I'm looking at the first round. When did they put shorts on ESPN?
Wow, that's crazy. That's funny.
Blow up the whole company. Sorry, continue.
Nuke the whole generation.
Yeah, exactly.
Baron, I don't remember if 2025 had this. In 2024, when the Falcons selected Michael Penix Jr., Terry Fontenot needed Terry, Raheem, and Arthur Blank, who's the owner of the Atlanta Falcons, Raheem Morris, who's the fired coach, Terry Fontenot, who's the fired general manager, and Arthur Blank, who is dying owner, but he's the owner. You can't fire the owner. Those three all needed to explain their reasoning as to why or why not they did not want Penix. It became a whole war room issue. The fact the Rams general manager went behind Sean McVay, and he didn't even explain, but you're not connecting with your coach, really signals something wrong here.
Trouble in paradise.
And to me, it's bad. And I would rather have I don't know what it is. I think if you should have drafted Mekhi Lemon, of course. I think your relationship, if that's what would have secured you not being friends with Ty Simpson's dad or whatever, fuck his dad. This is a business. This is money. This is about winning football games, selling tickets, selling jerseys. And Mekhi Lemon would have put probably more jerseys from excited Rams fans, probably more seats in their butt because of how exciting that offense would have been, and probably would have done something more. So, and won you football games, which sells higher ticket prices. So, stupid for him to do that. I hate this pick. This is my least favorite pick of the first round. I think this should be your least favorite pick of the first round too.
It is. Not that I actually love the fit. I think Ty Simpson is one of those guys who you put him in the right scenario, he will be successful in the NFL. I actually think as a rookie prospect, as a rookie quarterback, this is one of the best places to be picked. But yeah, if you're the Rams,
is it though?
What the fuck are we doing? Oh yeah, you have an arguably top 5 defense in the league. You have a head coach who's known as a quarterback guru.
But here's the thing, Baron, which again, it's just years of context. Sean McVay needed convincing to come be the Rams head coach again, right? He needed to be convinced to coach because he was like, I'm not liking it. So if you go under your coach and piss him the hell off, he might just leave when Stafford leaves. When Devontae and Stafford leaves, and I said it in my I hate bringing up with Puka Nacua off the field issues, and I don't know what the hell is going to happen to him. He might just say, I hate this job now because we're not going to win football games, and go to a team that's going to win football games and that fires their coach. I really hate to say it, but I think this pick could shatter the Rams.
We'll see.
We will see, but I think it could.
I don't think it'll be that much. Again, where the fuck is Sean McVay gonna go? I mean,
but
honestly.
Again, here's my thing, right? Here's my thing.
Yeah.
Here is my thing. I'm gonna throw this at you, and you're not gonna like it, but I'm gonna say it. Let's say the Eagles lose in the wild card round. If Sean McVay's an available head coach, you fire the shit out of Nick Sirianni and you hire Sean McVay if he wants to go there. It's that simple. Let's say again, a team like the Ravens. I think Sean McVay would have been like, I would go to the Ravens and I can turn Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry and this team around and go get myself a wide receiver. And then I think it becomes a situation where, God, I can't believe I'm going to say this, but I think if Sean McVay went to a team, it's like the Brady of coaches going to a team because I think he's just exciting to play for. I think players would be interested in going to a Sean McVay coach team. And that would become not a super team, but they would have veterans who are good come there. So I think, again, I think this is less than a 10% chance of happening. But I think the fact that it's not less than 1 scares me a little bit.
All right. Yeah, so we'll certainly keep our eye on Ty Simpson and the Rams and how that works out.
Whew.
But we're going to speed up a little bit. We're approaching on 1 hour, and we are not even halfway through the pick. So, 14th, not even going to attempt that name, but
the guard Ione is a great pick.
Yeah, to me, this was one of my favorite picks. You said Caleb Downs. I think this is the most NFL-ready player right now. Ravens get a guy for Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry to protect. Love this pick. We're going to move on. 15, Ruben Bain Jr. to the Buccaneers. I'm also a huge fan of this pick. This is a guy that fell a lot further than I thought. I was also personally hoping he would keep falling once I realized because, again, my team needed an edge rusher at that point in time. So, love this pick for the Buccaneers. They had a defense looked not like they have been as from the past few years. It didn't look good last year as it has been from the last couple of years. Sorry. So this is a player that will definitely help turn that around. Love this pick. Anything you'd like to say?
Yeah, he's the first defensive player with a sub 31-inch arm reach to be or inch arms to be taken first round by defensive end in the NFL draft since 1999. And I think that's what made him fall a little bit is the concern of his arms. But to me, if you can play the freaking sport, you can play the freaking sport. Ruben Bain Jr. did it on the biggest stage. He did it in the College World Playoff. He was dominating in the playoff. And the playoff is not scrub ACC teams. Again, when you have an ACC team like Miami and you go, the ACC is not good, and then you put them in the College World Playoff, I think that's when you see the biggest risers and the biggest fallers. And Ruben Bain, since he rose to the occasion and can play against top talent, I'm just surprised he was at 15, Baron.
Yeah,
I'm just surprised he was at 15.
To me, this is a guy that should have gone at least in the top 10. He would have been if we came right out of the national championship, he would have been my first edge rusher off the board. But
my thing is again, I look at this draft and I go, I don't mind every pick. It makes sense that he fell.
It's true.
It makes sense.
True. I don't know. I feel like, yeah, I guess the Cowboys can't really pass on Caleb Downs. That makes sense.
I don't want to jump too much, make it long, but my perfect fit was Dallas.
Yeah,
but
that's what
Caleb freaking Downs was on the board at 11. So I don't blame Dallas for going for Caleb Downs.
Yeah. Anyway, we'll move on. Pick 16, Kenyon Sadiq, the tight end out of Oregon, going to the Jets. I saw a lot of people that hate this pick. I really don't mind it that much. To me, he was one of the best at one point was the best pass catcher out of this draft. Not more of a traditional tight end. He's definitely more of that Brock Bowers sort of receiving or just big body receiving archetype. But yeah, I think this is a good pick for New York, especially when you see who they get later in the draft. All of these weapons for eventually whoever they take next year are in place. We'll see what Geno Smith or Kate Klubnik can do with them this year, but I think ultimately they're building an offense to look good for whichever quarterback they take next year.
The only reason Kenyon Sadiq's a little bit because he had 560 yards receiving last year. He only had 892 in his career. But Mason Taylor's your other tight end, and Mason Taylor's 6'5", 260, and he's more of a
blocking.
He's not a big, crazy, go out and receive kind of guy. And to me, we talked about this in the pre-draft process with you. But you have Garrett Wilson, you have Adonai Mitchell, which do you believe Adonai Mitchell is going to be crazy? No, you need pass catchers. So that's why I don't mind this pick. I don't mind his pick whatsoever.
And I think you like it a lot better when you see who they went and got later in the draft. So, which we'll get
Yeah.
to in a bit. But
Yeah.
moving on to pick 17, the first Clemson player off the board, Blake Miller, went to the Lions. I don't hate this pick.
I
I
don't
was I was a little confused. I thought
like
there
this pick.
there was probably, in my opinion, some better offensive tackle talents on the board. But the Lions made it pretty clear they want someone opposite of Penei Sewell. This guy didn't let up a lot of sacks, if not any, I don't think. So, not a bad pick.
I like the options below him. That's what I'll say.
Yeah, I do too. But
Especially because in my opinion, I did a little more watching and reading, and
also true.
Penei Sewell can play elite at either side, in my opinion, left or right. He proved that to me in the NFL. So I think there is a little bit of focus of keeping him on his best side, but I think there is still some better guys, which we'll bring up later in this process.
Yeah. The next big shock, at least to me, comes at pick 18, and that was Caleb Banks to the the Vikings.
Yeah.
I think in terms of talent wise, yes, there's an argument for him being the best defensive tackle in the class.
Talent wise, to me, no. I don't think he's the
Okay.
best.
Oh, I'm talking about like potential talent.
No.
Oh, okay. Well, his run stopping ability is something that the Vikings made a big emphasis on. That what they wanted.
Yes.
Injury history is something that's very questionable. I think a lot of people had him going in the second round because of that injury history. So it was really shocking to see him go at 18 here. Not a huge fan of this pick, but we'll see how it turns out for them. Definitely got what they wanted.
I had them taking Heineman here, but after losing Javon Hargrave and Jonathan Allen this past season, it makes sense to go D tackle as well. My biggest thing is a foot injury. A foot injury is something that you can't really clean up too much. Like those aren't ones that are like little kind of ding 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 and they go away. Like foot injuries are concerning.
Lingering, yeah.
Exactly. And to me, he went in the first round. I think Peter Woods is a more talented potential DT. I think Caleb Banks is a better NFL ready DT. So I like the pick for Vikings. I'm just a little concerned with the injury history, especially because
I'm
of that.
very concerned with that.
Twice.
But
So,
I like the ability, the run stopping ability is there. That's what you need when you look in their division, especially when you have guys like Jahmyr Gibbs, Josh Jacobs, and that amazing duo that the Bears have. So, yes, this is an emphasis they wanted to get. They got it. Not a huge fan, but I get it. So we'll move on to pick 19, and that was Monroe Freeling to the Panthers. Can't go wrong there. Big offensive tackle. Panthers want someone to protect Bryce Young. Very good pick. I feel like this was a guy that could have gone within the top 15 at least, and the Panthers get in my opinion, top 3 offensive tackle talent after a pretty cool playoff run. So
I mean,
definitely.
I watched this guy play live. It was like having a safety blanket offensive tackle, having Monroe Freeling out there. And I hate this pick because he went to Carolina. Because, he has to play the Falcons twice. Because I really do rate Monroe Freeling. I think that would have been the perfect pick for the Lions. And Baron, I mean, I know Clemson didn't have a good season and Georgia had a good season. So, people can say one thing or other, but I've watched both. I me, Clemson and Georgia. I just rate Monroe Freeling a lot more than I rate Blake Miller.
I did too, and I think most people did.
That's why I would have had him go 17.
I would have had him go probably 12, but yeah, that's not the case. Now, pick 20. You just want me to tell the story, or
it's your floor because
that's
this
fine.
is your team and you love your team.
Oh, I do more than anything in the world. But obviously, the Eagles traded up to pick 20 from pick 23. I was ecstatic. As Brooks can attest, I was blowing his phone up. Obviously, with the Vikings going Caleb Banks, Dylan Thieneman was still available. To me, this was a guy that was not even going to be an option for the Eagles. I thought all the mocks were telling me, all the analysts were telling me he was going. at least by pick 18 to the Vikings. So the fact that he was still available, I was ecstatic. The Eagles traded up. I thought this was the guy they were going to get, especially with Reed Blankenship departing. And that was not the case. Brooks can also attest there was a very long no that was sent probably within seconds of the pick being made. But the Eagles ultimately went with Makai Lemon, wide receiver out of Southern California. And yeah, I'll be honest, I was not a fan when it happened. The night of, I went to sleep. I was not a fan. I woke up yesterday or 2 days ago, was still not really a big fan, but it is growing on me more and more. A guy like this probably should not have fallen so far. I think a lot of people, including Brooks, had him going to the Rams at pick 13 to really solidify this Super Bowl roster, but that was not the case. But obviously this pick was made, and now I think I can have to admit it and say out loud for the potential that A.J. Brown will not be on the team next year. So how does this work in most cases? Because these are two completely different wide receivers. And yeah, obviously you're not gonna replace A.J. Brown with any sole player, but I'm not a huge just fan of the limitations that he has, right? He's not the fastest. He's not the biggest. He has great hands. He's a great athlete. His route running is amazing, but he's a slot guy. He doesn't have great production on the outside. It's a lot of he plays a lot of heart. But I'm just yeah, I don't know. I'm excited. I hope I'm proven wrong, but I'm not very big on it at this point in time. Yeah, that's about all I have to say. I think whether or not A.J. Brown is leaving, I think there were other positional needs that could have been addressed with this pick. And yeah, ultimately you could and then obviously I think this is made because I think if you went safety here, trade A.J. Brown, and you're ideally getting a first next year, then you have 2 first-round picks to even try and trade up, maybe get into that Jeremiah Smith range. I don't know. There's just a lot of things that can happen in the next 2 seasons. So, yeah, I was not a huge fan of this pick. But I trust my general manager. And I have to say, there is still a reality, although it might not be might not be a great chance, but there is still a reality in which we see A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, and Makai Lemon all play for the Eagles next year.
I don't think it's going to be a reality, but Baron. I don't know why I like this pick. I really do. I like this pick for the Eagles. I know you don't, and you know the Eagles a little bit better, but I will try to explain why I like this pick to an Eagles fan who is an Eagles diehard, so it's going to be a little tough. I like Jalen Hurts as a quarterback. You know, you have taken a lot of flack over the years for Jalen Hurts, and I've been somebody who has been a little bit rough on you with Jalen Hurts, but I like Jalen Hurts as a quarterback. And I'm going to compare Jalen Hurts real quick to Jordan Love. I like Jalen Hurts as a quarterback better than Jordan Love. And now with your new offensive coordinator, Sean Mannion, who comes from Green Bay in a wide receiver system, which doesn't have a true one, but has guys who can do everything all around the field when he was there, I like this pick because you get a little more depth at wide receiver, and now you can play a little more to Sean Mannion style offense with a little more spread out. I think you're going to put Devonta Smith as your one. Mm-hmm. And I think that's honestly, I think Devonta Smith is probably, I've said this to you, I don't rate Devonta Smith as a true wide receiver one, but I think he's better than any Green Bay wide receiver one they had during that kind of Jordan Love, Sean Mannion era. And to me, Makai Lemon, man, just turn on the film. And you know who he reminds me of? University of Southern California. He kind of reminds me of a University of Southern California player. He kind of reminds me a little bit of Amon-Ra St. Brown in a way. He kind of does. Like, you watch him go, he kind of gives it off a little bit. So I kind of like this pick. You know, his 40 time wasn't anything special. It was like a 4.45, but that's what JSN ran. That's what Puka ran. That's what Amon-Ra ran. You know, these talented receivers, they don't have to be blazing fast. And he's not a blazing fast guy, but he can beat you with the ball in his hands. So Some people even had Makai Lemon as their best wide receiver in this class. I don't have him as my best wide receiver in this class, but I like this pick. I really do like this pick for the Eagles. I don't think it's their best true position of need, but I do like this pick.
My only thing too is, and again, we're going to talk about it as if we are losing A.J. Brown. You're losing, again, that X receiver build, that one-on-one jump ball, red zone sort of threat, and this archetype does not replace that in any sort of fashion. And I think that's ultimately where my concerns are, because if you look at this Eagles wide receiver room, I think from wide receiver 1 all the way to wide receiver 5, you're getting a guy that does basically the same thing, and that's just they're a great route runner. They'll beat you with their speed, with their footwork, but you're not going to get a guy who's going to go up, out-muscle the ball from you. You're not going to get a guy who's going to box you out on a hitch route and just you put it in their chest and they're going to catch it. And that's what A.J. Brown offers. And, again, I look at guys that go later down the list, and we'll just go ahead and name names. A guy like Omar Cooper Jr., that's someone who I wanted to see if we were going to take a wide receiver and it wasn't Jordan Tyson. I think his ability to be an outside big guy just offers a lot. And I think he has some ability to move into the slot as well. But I hope that this turns out. I hope that this fits. But to me, I'm not a huge fan of it at the moment.
Fair enough.
But we'll move on. What?
Sorry, the Braves are fucking whipping the Phillies right now.
They're playing right now?
Yeah, it's a Sunday, so it's all afternoon
Oh,
games.
yeah, you are.
Fucking Matt Olson 3-run shot, Eli White 2-run shot. Beep, 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 beep.
Baseball's stupid and I hate it. I'm all into hockey now. Yeah, Phillies are fucking terrible. But
Dude, there's a little tangent I could go on right now for like 30 seconds, but we gotta keep going.
yeah, we'll say that for the end. Yeah, we're already over an hour. All right.
Yeah.
I don't know how to say the guy's name, but the Steelers take the offensive tackle out of Arizona State. Obviously, the big draft story there. They were on the phone with Makai Lemon before they even had the pick on the board. Then they got Lil Broad in front of everyone in their home city. And, yeah, this was the scramble pick of the night. Obviously you have people coming out and be like, oh, they had these guys rated there and there, and it's like, no, dude. This was and again, I'm not saying it's a bad pick, but Steelers had their guy on the phone, did not work out, and had to immediately pivot.
Probably the moment of the draft in my opinion.
Yeah, this was the scramble pick. Not a bad pick by any means.
No, not bad whatsoever.
But yeah, this was funny. But we'll move on. Chargers, Akeem Mesidor, going to LA. What?
Sorry. We didn't even talk about Maxi and Onshore because we were just like, fuck the Steelers, man. They just got fucking Lil Broad.
Yeah, exactly.
I think we'll just say 5 seconds. It was a pretty solid pick. They needed an offensive line. They got an offensive lineman.
Yeah, they got what they needed. He's a very good prospect in that position. To me, he was the third best offensive tackle in this class. So, yeah. Or the fourth, sorry. Yeah, so pretty good steal right there. But, yeah, Akeem Mesidor to the Chargers. Obviously, the concern with him is he is already 25. A little bit of an injury history, but if you watched him play in the playoffs last year, he was a monster. I think the Chargers got a good edge rusher to help when Khalil Mack eventually retires at the end of this season. And yeah, definitely taking the best, in my opinion, positionally the best player that they needed. And it definitely screwed over the Cowboys, who had pick 23. From my understanding, they really wanted to get Hakeem Mesidor. Ultimately got picked right before them, so they had to go with Malachi Lawrence. I actually don't really know too much about Malachi Lawrence, so I can't really speak much to it. Obviously, he was ESPN's 9th edge rusher positionally, and the Cowboys took him before a bunch of others, so they must feel really high on him. But, yeah, I'll let you speak on that one a little more.
Hakeem Mesidor, to me, it's like he's 25, he's NFL ready. So that to me is just you gotta take him late first round. I like to pick the Chargers. They need edge rush. I talked about Khalil Mack there for one more year, and then he's gone. But just with Khalil Mack being there one more year, it's like, do you take a little bit of a younger guy so he can kind of mold with Khalil Mack and be younger and all that kind of stuff? So when Khalil Mack does step out, you have a 23, 22, 24. You got a 25-year-old coming in, really old. So I want to see if he can do something immediately. I think this draft pick to me is kind of when you grade in the first year or two.
Yes.
So you got to grade pretty early.
Yeah, I think this is a guy. Again, I think the Chargers look at their window. They're trying to maximize it with Justin Herbert and the other guys they have on the roster. And again, Hakeem Mesidor, he is very NFL ready in my opinion. Has a lot of college reps, a lot at a very high level. He has been around football for a long time. I think he comes in pretty seamlessly. And yeah, like you said, this will be a pretty instant reaction. But Malachi Lawrence, any thoughts on that before we move on?
The Cowboys, to me, my first round mock, and like I said, needed edge rusher. He was actually really liked by the Cowboys. It was pretty well known, but I still had them going to get Ruben Bain, and then maybe Malachi Lawrence is an early second round pick they try to move up for as well and go crazy this draft. But no, I think it's a good pick. I think it's a little bit of a reach from value, but they're going to take him 20. And then I know they did an in-division trade. So if the Falcons and Saints, by the way, what a fake-ass rivalry that is, by the way. If the Falcons and Saints were ever caught trading with each other, there would be a civil war in the damn streets. These Cowboys and Eagles always trading with the damn
Well, because I think it's when Howie Roseman calls your phone, you have to pick it up.
Oh, yeah, when Howie Roseman calls, fucking bullshit ass.
Well, yeah, because in both cases, the Eagles traded up. So obviously they're calling to ask to request it. But I'll just point out the last time the Eagles traded up with the Cowboys and the Eagles took a receiver and the Cowboys took an edge rusher. Do you know who those two players were beforehand?
That was Nelson Aguilar.
Mm-hmm.
And I couldn't tell you who's the edge rusher.
It's not. It was Devontae Smith and Micah Parsons.
Oh yeah. You're right.
So.
You're right. I was gonna say that, but that felt like.
No, it was a few years ago.
Yeah, too recent. Wow, this is a fake ass rivalry. The Saints and the Falcons would never do this shit, bro.
It's because your general manager doesn't have dirt all over the other one.
Yeah, what the fuck is this bullshit? And the Saints and Falcons would like shoot each other before
Hey Jerry, I'm gonna need to trade up with you.
Did you see? I don't want to talk. Did you see? The Falcons took Harold Perkins in the 6th round. By the way, who was like a top 10 predicted pick as well this year.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm a Saints fan. He's like, fuck the Saints now. Go Birds. Put the shit on.
Go Dirty Birds.
Yeah. He was like,
he needs to work on that. But. Yeah. We'll move on. We'll see if Mekhi Lemon and Malachi Lawrence turn into the players that Devontae Smith and Micah Parsons did. So, yeah, okay, cool. I don't care about baseball anymore. Your words can't hurt me. Where's your hockey team right now?
In the playoffs.
No, Atlanta doesn't have one. Oh, yeah, I forgot. You're a Mammoths fan.
Is up 2-1, baby. We're up 2-1.
Yeah, well, my team's up 3-1, bitch. So
my team is up 2-1 and has Mitt Romney rooting for them. Fuck you.
All right. With the 24th pick, the Browns took Casey Concepcion. I don't hate it. I would have you hate it?
I nailed this pick. No, I nailed this.
Oh, you nailed it. Yeah. Yeah, this isn't a bad pick. I think it's pretty good in my opinion. I would have personally taken Omar Cooper Jr., but I don't hate this at all. Now, pick 25. Unfortunately, Dylan Thieneman was snagged here by the Bears. Good pick. They lost both their starting safeties in free agency, so obviously you need a guy to come in, make an immediate impact. I think a lot of people thought they would address defensive line issues here, but when a player like this falls to you at 25 with the concerns that you have,
you got to take him.
Yeah. All right, we'll move on. 26, Keelan Rutledge to the Texans. What's that sigh for?
Rutledge was a guy who, like, some people did have him go late first, but to me, he was not.
This is a reach. Let's just call it
It's
how
a
it is.
reach.
It's a reach.
It's a reach, but like, it's a reach of proportions that
I'm not that
it's not
concerned.
bad.
It's really
It's not
not
bad.
that concerning. Yeah. But yeah, we'll see what happens. CJ Stroud gets another protector. Yeah. I think that's really like this is again one of these picks where time will tell if it was good or bad. But the Dolphins traded up to pick 27, get a second pick in the first round. And they take Chris Johnson,
Yeah.
quarterback out of San Diego State. I think this is a good pick in terms of how he fits for the Dolphins. But in terms of what other cornerbacks were on the board, I don't know how much I love it.
Really?
I don't know.
Like,
I feel like
with other corners, who would you have taken?
let me forget the names.
There was Colton Hood went second
I
round.
would have taken him. I would have taken the other one from Tennessee, McCoy, as well. I don't know how.
Jamal McCoy.
Yeah, I don't know how. I know he got injured. I don't know how.
But there's something that I didn't read or you don't know
Yeah, I guess.
with that knee, because if he falls fourth round, what the hell happened?
Yeah, I guess.
You know, what the hell happened to that knee? I wanted him when the Falcons had a third round pick. I was like, let's take him, which I loved our third round pick, but
yeah,
I would have loved to see Jamal McCoy.
I also would have taken Avion Terrell and D'Angelo Pons over Johnson, but for what the Dolphins need, I really don't hate it.
No, I like this pick. Good, a guy who can really bait quarterbacks into interceptions. Good turnover machine. I like what he can do on the ball as well, and man-to-man coverage. And with 4.4 speed, makes it to where he can go against the best of them at wide receiver. So I like him, especially near this value. Some people had him late first, early second. I think they got a good pick, good value.
Yeah. I just think he needs to – there's a lot to clean up from a first-round pick, so we'll see if Miami can do that. But we'll move on to 28. We'll wrap up the last few ones here. Super Bowl runner-ups, Patriots get Caleb Lomo. I don't hate it. You need another guy opposite of Will Campbell to protect Drake May. I also know – I don't know if you've heard, but there's a rumor he will be included in an A.J. Brown trade. So Caleb Lomo.
Would you like that? That'd be a good for y'all.
I would be ecstatic, honestly.
I think that'd be good for y'all.
Yeah, because we need to. But we took a tackle later, so I don't think that'll be the case. But yeah, that's definitely a good pick for the Patriots, especially from what we saw in the Super Bowl. You need to protect your quarterback because it's rough. Now, 29, the Chiefs. I believe they traded up for this, right?
They did.
Yeah, traded up to get Peter Woods, defensive tackle out of Clemson.
Oh wait, no, they didn't trade up. No, my bad. This was from the Trent McDuffie trade.
Oh yeah, you're right.
My apologies. Yeah,
they take Peter Woods, defensive tackle out of Clemson. Most people's number one defensive tackle, going to the Chiefs. Yeah, this Peter Woods is not a player I was personally high on coming out of college. I thought, as you know, that he definitely had a down year. But still lands in the first round. He gets to play alongside Chris Jones for at least 1 year. I think that's a good. Chris Jones is old. He could retire any year now. Yeah, he could retire any day now. Yeah. So Peter Woods, I think that's a good guy to learn next to. But there's also certainly a lot you need to clean up as well.
Yes, I like this pick. To me, what's interesting is Peter Woods gives off better pass rush than run stuff sometimes for a defensive tackle in terms of what you expect.
Yeah.
And having Chris Jones, a guy who can also get in the backfield pretty well, especially on passing downs, makes me a little scared for teams in the AFC West with these kind of guys with Karlaftis. And when those two guys, makes me a little concerned for those guys coming out and trying to attack. And they also got a edge as well in the second round, early second as well.
Yeah.
So really improved that defensive line.
Yeah. So we'll do these last three quickly. This is one of my favorite picks of the whole night. Obviously, I've been talking about him for a while now, but Omar Cooper Jr. to the Jets at pick 30. They traded up into the first round to go and get him. This is a great pick for me. I think he'll play amazingly alongside Garrett Wilson, and it makes that Kenyon Sadiq pick earlier make even more sense because now you've got a guy to play within the middle. Again, we don't know who will be throwing the ball for the Jets, but whoever it is, I think you are set up for a lot of success. Whether you've got Garrett Wilson, Omar Cooper Jr., then you got Breece Hall out of the backfield, Kenyon Sadiq in the middle. To me, that is a very good unit on paper. While they might be young, they stay healthy. I think it'll be productive. And obviously, you have gotten a very good player late in the first round. I would have liked the Eagles go out and get him, but I like this. I like it a lot.
I had Omar Cooper going 16
Wow.
to the Jets.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
definitely a steal in Brooks' opinion.
I like the pick. I had him going to that team, but 14 picks later, I like the pick. And yes, Baron, they have someone on the opposite side of Garrett Wilson. I like it. I really do like it. The only thing the Jets need to fix, my goodness, and I'm going to say it, is that they have Geno Smith throwing to their guys. I don't like Cade Klubnik whatsoever as a quarterback. So I think next year they're going to have a guy to throw to those guys.
Yeah, it's just the Jets is not a place to go when you're a project quarterback because they will ruin your career so very fast.
The Jets need to build a stadium that has grass as their field. That's
also true. I find, and again, we'll probably talk about this a little more next episode. I think it is so funny how Cade Klubnik said, I woke up this morning, had a feeling I was going to the Jets. Like, bro woke up and was wishing for misery.
I saw, like, my favorite two comments was, bro woke up from a nightmare, and it was like somebody just said no one ever.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think our good
somebody said original sentence.
Our good friend AJ left a great comment. Give me things that were never said for 300.
Yeah. Former Nothing Agreed podcast member. AJ.
There you go. Yeah, a real throwback for you. But all right, last two. Let's wrap them out. Kendrick Falk, edge out of Auburn to the Titans. I don't hate it.
I don't mind it either.
Yeah.
I had Kendrick Falk going 29 to the Chiefs. So to me, this is near the value. You're getting a guy. I think for the Tennessee Titans, again, this is a guy like a Caden Proctor where I don't mind a bad team drafting him because he's not a NFL yes guy. Good size at 6'6". Again, did really good stopping the run. Only had 2 sacks last year, so needs to improve the pass rush. Now, I did do a little bit, again, pass or mock, because I'm just very interested in it. Auburn's D-line just wasn't really exceptional to me, especially in big games. So Kendrick Falk had a little more going for him in terms of – not going for him in terms of getting focused on. So let's see what he can do at the NFL level, even though they're better guys, maybe a little less to focus on.
Yeah, I definitely like the pick. The development, that'll tell us all about what kind of a player he is, but – yeah, I think it definitely makes more sense to get a solidified receiver, I guess, and then a project edge versus a project receiver. And actually, I don't know. I think I would rather go the other route. But for a rookie quarterback, it might be the other way around. But yeah. Robert Saleh is probably really excited to have Kendrick Falk,
defensive guy, come in. He loves his defense.
And last but not least, your Super Bowl winning Seahawks. Pick 32. Who do they go with? None other than Jadarian Price. I'll let you go first on this one.
Why? Seriously, why?
Yeah.
Like, Price is a good player, but he's not a.
I'll put it this way. He was probably the only running back deserving of a day 2 draft pick.
Yeah.
I was a little shocked to see him go in the first round, but when you look at the Seahawks roster, again, just won a Super Bowl. I think one of their biggest needs is running back. Obviously, your Super Bowl MVP walks in free agency, goes to the Chiefs. Zach Charbonnet will be out for at least a few games to start the season. You need someone in that room, and obviously, now there might be an opportunity to go out and trade for James Conner or Zach Charbonnet, or Tyler Algier, depending on what sort of route the Cardinals want to go. Obviously, there'll be other teams running backs who become available, but yeah, I kind of agree. I get why they take a running back, but there's better talent on the board I think you could have taken and addressed running back in other ways.
I just going the second round is just seeing Colton Hood go 37 to the Giants.
Yeah, that could only be the only other position, I feel like.
Avion Terrell going to the Falcons, which I am going to say this. I'm not the biggest Avion Terrell lover. Some people had him going late first round, early second. I'm not the biggest fan of him. I think that is actually a on value pick. But I had Traydon Stukes going first round. I know he's more of a safety build. But Colton Hood being available, I think you should have gone with Colton Hood.
I agree. I think losing or Kobe, what is it? Kobe
Bryant.
Yeah, Bryant. Yeah, I forgot they have just the same name. I was thinking of Kobe White. Well, I was thinking of Kobe White because it's Kobe with a C. But
I knew you were thinking that.
Kobe Bryant leaving, Tariq Woolen leaving, and I think there was one other DB that they lost. You certainly wanted to see maybe a revamp of that room, but again, I think running back. Again, you look at what Kenneth Walker was able to do for them in the Super Bowl and that entire playoff run with that offensive line. I think if you go out, get a guy like Jadarian Price, who has a lot of upside, I do think he is a very good running back, but yeah, I get the feeling. Alrighty, well, that is.
There's two things I want to say.
Oh, okay. Brooks has got some.
First of all, the Raptors and the Cavaliers are playing a playoff basketball game right now.
Oh, good God.
And the Raptors shot 25% and the Cleveland shot 33% from the field. Cleveland shot 20% from three. The Raptors shot 14, and they both shot under 60% from the free throw line. There was 79 rebounds in the first half. Jesus Christian. Second of all, back to the NFL draft. I just want to say this because it's basically a first-round pick. The Niners taking Dejon Stribling, 33.
Yeah, they're some of the weekend's biggest losers.
Now, Dejon Stribling is a deep threat guy, right? Deep threat guy. That's what he is. 6'2", 207. I think. Let me. I'm pulling up right now. What do you run 40-wise? 4.36, right? Deep threat guy. But a guy who was not better than the other wide receiver counterparts you could have got later, and you are receiving phone calls to move up to 33. What are you doing? And then that journalist goes, "Why do you suck at drafting?" Basically, was the funniest question ever. Like, you just get asked. Got called. John Lynch guy asked him, "Why do you keep sucking at drafting?" Like, dog, reevaluate what you're doing if you got a journalist asking that. God damn.
That's actually, I didn't see that. That's so funny.
It's such a good video because, like, they always reach, and they reached once again. And he goes, "You're known for reaching on it. Why do you keep reaching?" And he's like, "Well, the consensus boards are different than our boards." And it's like, clearly your boards are freaking wrong because all your reaches are bad.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, they had a top 3 pick a few years ago, and look who they went and got with it. The only reason they aren't in quarterback hell, or they aren't in hell, is because they got lucky. Yeah, they got lucky with Mr. Irrelevant.
I mean, Jesus. And also, they have the option to get freaking Tom Brady, if I'm not mistaken. Stupid for not taking him. Like, the fact that Denzel Boston went, where'd he go? He went a couple 39 to the Browns.
Yeah.
And you had Jeremy Bernard go 47 to the Steelers. Like, not freaking that. Even the third round, I think Zachariah Branch is a better guy than fucking him. So
maybe on Terrell, or not Terrell, Antonio Williams.
I don't rate Antonio Williams. It's just me and Clemson players. I don't rate them. I rate Peter Woods a little bit. I do rate Peter Woods a little bit. But, like, Antonio Williams to me has injury problems. And
True.
To me, that's what scared me. And he was not healthy. And that's what scares me to Jordan Tyson, too, right? You got, again, Chris Olave and Jordan Tyson are amazing, but they need to stay
They
healthy.
got to stay healthy, yeah.
One head injury for Chris Olave, and he's probably recommended to never play football ever again.
True.
And then Jordan Tyson is a walk-in IR report. So like these guys to me could be really good, but if something happens wrong, man, I'm a little scared for the Saints in that position. So
Well, that's football. That's life. We'll pray for good health. But is there anything else you'd like to add, Rooks? We are approaching an hour and a half here on this recording, so I think this is a good place to leave it. Because next week, or not even next week, in a few days, we're coming back at y'all with some full grades. We're going to look at the draft hauls as a whole.
1 through
Obviously, some teams with bad first picks can make up for it in later rounds. Teams can make some interesting choices. And, yeah, I promise you I'll be a lot more optimistic for all the Eagles fans out there for the rest of the draft picks. I'm super excited. I know you saw that one guy, Uar Bernard. Yeah.
It was like a Heisman finalist, Diego Pavia, doesn't get selected, but Uar Bernard, who has never played a single snap of football.
Okay, you probably won't believe me, but I saw a TikTok like about him like 3 weeks ago. It's like, who is this like prospect out of Africa who's never played a snap of football? And he's like showing you all the like combine things. I'm like, oh my god, like yeah, his combine was
compared him. Well, somebody compared him next to
Wemby.
Myles Garrett, and he's like,
oh yeah,
no, Myles Garrett.
Yeah,
he's
I saw
literally
that.
Myles Garrett.
No, he quite literally.
But
is.
like, yeah, but the issue is it was like, you know that one thing where it's like, but the one flaw is, you know, it was like
he's
I
never
forgot who
played
it was,
football before.
It was like this is an amazing quarterback, but his one flaw is the forward pass was invented 100 years ago. I forgot who that was, but that was really funny. It was like his one flaw is he's never played a single snap of football.
Yeah, but
I think it's a low key. I think that's a good pick for a 7th rounder for a guy who is just like that.
hey,
I think he low key could be something.
if Vic Fangio can figure it out, then yeah,
If
we
he
will
learns
not
quickly.
need we will not need Nolan Smith or Jalen
Now-
Hunt for much longer. And I will say,
Now-
we'll also talk about it real quick, 'cause I think this was the only like draft day trade that involved a player, but Jonathan Grenard, formerly a member of the Vikings, is now a
we talk
Philadelphia
about that?
Eagle.
Sure. Horrible.
For who?
The Eagles.
Oh, why?
Because everyone talks about how Howie Roseman is so good. Just re-sign Jalen Phillips and you don't lose 2 third-rounders.
Okay.
You're basically paying near the same money for Grenard.
No, you are not. Are you
You're
kidding
paying
me?
what? 20 less mil?
Jalen Phillips was $32 million annually. We're paying him
Grenard is
25. We're paying him 25.
Grenard's a 3-year, $100 million deal.
It's 4-year, $100 million deal.
I thought Jalen Phillips was like 4-year, 120.
No, it's 3-year, 120.
No, it's not 3-year, 120. I'm fact checking.
Jalen Phillips is getting paid over $30 million a year. That's why we didn't re-sign him. He's like the
4-year, 120. So
Ah,
30
okay.
mil a year. Hold up. Grenard contract. Because he just signed one.
it's 1 year, 100.
4-year, 100.
Yeah, 4 year, 100 million.
Yeah, so it's a $5 million per year difference. I don't know. I don't rate that shit. I do not rate that shit.
You're getting a player who's equally of the same talent, I would say. You're putting him next to of the best defensive tackles in the league in a room with a lot of young rotational guys. Yeah, I think this is going to be a great fit. Obviously, he's got to stay healthy, but
But you have a guy who's 2 years older, right?
Mm-hmm.
Who, funny enough, they almost shared the same birthday. He's gonna be 29 next season. 29, and you give him that big deal, and you lose 2 third-rounders, which you can go get some other guys in a deep edge class. I don't know. I don't rate it.
Well, only one was this year. One of the third rounders is next year.
I don't rate it.
Oh. Anyway, this I think it'll be fine. If the money becomes a problem, Howie Roseman is probably if he's not the best at finding players, he's definitely the best at restructuring contracts because he just pulls money out of his ass. Money's not really the problem. It's more of the contract. Having a guy like that for 4 years, that'll be fine because by that point we should be at the point where Nolan Smith is taking over, and if not, he will probably get moved off from. So, or Jalex Hunt, one of the two, or Uar Bernard. We will see what happens. But for the meantime, I really like this trade.
Let's play one more game before we hang it up.
Okay.
Let's say, and you can't go obvious, okay?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Your favorite first-round pick and your least favorite first-round pick, or instead of that, you can say a guy that could be surprisingly thinks can be really good and surprisingly could be really bad. One of those.
Well, obviously, everyone that's been listening knows I'm very big on Omar Cooper Jr. So if I had to pick another guy outside of that,
I can go first if you want me
yeah,
to.
you go first. You go first.
So I think I'm between 1920, but I'm going to go Monroe Freeling, right? I think that's a pick people aren't talking about enough, but I think he really could be a cornerstone player for the Carolina Panthers offensive line for years and years and years to come. I really rate that pick. Like, that's a pick where I'm like, not everyone's talking about it, and I think it's a very solid pick. And then a pick that I think is, to me, just is a little bit of concern with what I'm looking at and everything that's there. I'm trying to go not obvious, of course, but I am really concerned about how Akeem Messidor does play out for the Chargers, right? At 25 years old, a team that needs to get over that hump. It's a good pick, but he doesn't have, it's not a guy that, after his rookie contract, he's going to be 29, 30. So, because you have a 5th-year option on him. So he's going to be 30 years old. And what do you do with a 30-year-old after that? So I'm kind of interested in how Akeem Messidor plays out in the league. And if he is a bust, it's good. But, I mean, not good for, of course, you want him to be good. But, how contract situations work out, Akeem Messidor is like, whoa. Like, I don't know if I rate that pick too much for the Chargers in terms of just age, in terms of where they need all that. I don't know if I rate it too much.
Fair enough. I'll make these quick then. My 3 favorites, because I can't really decide, besides Omar Cooper Jr., I would go Ruben Bain Jr. To the Buccaneers. I think he is going to be really good. I think he has an opportunity to really stand out and become one of the league's best edge rushers in that standpoint. I think they have good defensive schemes. He has good players around him, all of the above. What, did the Phillies score? No. Okay.
No.
The next one I'm going to go with is the pick right before him. I don't know how to say it, but the offensive guard out of Penn State. Like I said, I think he's the most NFL ready. I think he'll be the most NFL impactful right out the gate, and I think you'll see both Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry benefit a lot from him. The last pick I'd have to go with is Dylan Thieneman at 25, second best safety in the class, falling all the way down there. Like we said, safety's not a super flashy or position of need that is put a lot of importance around. You see all the first one go at 11, obviously a generational talent in Caleb Downs. That is a good pick, but like you said, a little obvious. I think Dylan Thieneman steps into the Chicago, really replaces what they lost in both Kevin Byard and what's the other guy's name? Kendrick Fulton, something like that.
Kendrick Falk.
Yeah, lost both of their starting safeties. I think he comes in, plays very hard, and replaces some of that production and really becomes a cornerstone for that Chicago backfield. One pick I really don't like is going to be Caden Proctor to the Dolphins. I know you're big on the potential that he offers for the Dolphins, but again, I'm of the mindset when you are in a position like the Dolphins are, you need guys that are proven, guys that are ready to play, make immediate impact, and make your team just more attractive and on the route to getting better.
One more thing is, again, I think what's going to be interesting, of course, with draft day trades is always looking at the Carolina Panthers and Chicago Bears trade with Bryce Young is finally finished. Looking at all those names. What I'm looking out for is the Quinn Williams and Sauce Gardner Jets return. So far it's D'Angelo Pons, Kenyon Sadiq, and Cade Klubnik, and they still have 2 first-round picks. So we'll see how that turns out. So, and Adonai Mitchell.
Well, if Pons comes in and is an immediate game changer, that's already a win.
Yeah.
Because I like Sauce Gardner, and I know he was injured last year, but I feel like every year removed from his rookie year, he's creeping further and further down the list of top cornerbacks in the league. So,
Yep. All right.
that's
Let's
about
wrap it up, Aaron.
Yeah, that is it. You guys get a treat today, an hour 40. So we will see you later in the week. Give us your thoughts on the first round, your winners, your losers, reaches, steals, all of that stuff. And yeah, we will see y'all with draft grades next time. Anything you like to add, Brooks?
That'll be another episode of Nothing Agreed. Thank you so much for listening. Give us your favorite and least favorite first round picks. Also, say it right now in the comments, who will be the number 1 draft pick in 2027? Baron, we should do the same next episode. Other than that, thank you so much for listening, and peace.